When the city falls asleep, I start to breathe. Everyone else sees darkness. I see weak spots. Graveyard shift tastes like burnt coffee and humming neon. The aisles of the supermarket are still life paintings, rows of cereal boxes with fake smiles, discount tags curling at the edges, a mop leaning like a tired soldier. In the security room the only heartbeat is mine, plus the slow mechanical blink of the monitors that refuse to meet my eyes for long. They know I'm watching back. People imagine night makes monsters. They're wrong. Night just strips the costumes. What's left is honest. I roll my chair closer, the wheels whispering across linoleum. Screen 3 catches a stutter in the feed. A handful of pixels ripple, then settle. Could be dust. Could be something smarter. I tilt my head, let the ventilation drone fill the silence inside my ears, and breathe through the prickle in my neck. My hands move before my doubt does. Shortcut keys, a diagnostic window, a soft knock on a door inside the system that only opens for me. Hello, ghost. Logs populate like falling rain. IP ranges, timestamps, MAC addresses wearing cheap mustaches. Then I spot it, new, tidy, arrogant. Val Hunt. Cute. It could be a joke. It could be bait. But something in my spine, old training I never asked for, arches like a cat. Whoever they are, they're inside the outer perimeter, sliding along the edges of our camera grid, as if the grid were their chalkboard. The motion detection sensitivity reads a percentage I didn't set. I did leave a few loose nails in my build on purpose. I like hearing intruders swear. I split the screen. Live feeds on the left, the log tier sheet on the right. In the parking lot, under a lacquer of streetlight, there's a man crouched by a motorcycle. He's a silhouette carved clean with shoulders, the kind of shape that makes the air behave. The camera tries to lock focus. The camera fails. The interference curls again. A brief heat shimmer around his hands. He wipes a smear of grease off his thumb with a cloth and glances up, right into the lens. I feel it like a finger under my chin. Recognition. No, not of me, exactly. Of the act of being watched. Show off, I murmur, and the word warms in the room like a small defiant lamp. I don't zoom in. Amateurs zoom in. I widen. 2 blind corners. A loading dock. The automatic door breathes once and sleeps again. A woman in a windbreaker hustles past in the distance, keys jangling, oblivious. My intruder, my tenant of the night, reaches into the engine guts with practiced tenderness. Not a joyrider. The movements are too economical, too final. Former military? The angle of his neck says discipline. The stillness says patience. The spine arch becomes a smile behind my teeth. I tap out a soft counter-intrusion. Val Hunt keeps moving, not fighting me, not hiding, just strolling along my fences as if checking the workmanship. If this is bait, it's the good kind, marinated in confidence, flash-seared in nerve. My coffee is cold. I drink it anyway. The monitors blink. The man stands, brushes his palms on dark jeans and pockets a wrench. He isn't pretty in the way billboards promise. He's exactly made, as if the city found a piece of itself and cut it human-shaped. When he turns toward the exit, the light catches, and for a second, the interference thins. Eyes like amber in late afternoon, except this is midnight. Amber means warning, or fossilized truth. Depends on your mood. I could stay here, and play safe. I don't do safe. I take my badge, tuck it into my hoodie, and let the door sigh me out into the night air. The parking lot smells like rain that changed its mind and gasoline that never doubts. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. A moth throws itself at a halo until physics wins. The man is standing beside the bike, rolling his shoulders under a leather jacket that's seen better storms. Up close, he's taller than the camera admitted, with a steadiness that doesn't ask for permission. Store's closed, I say. Because it isn't. And because I like a clean opening line. He looks at me. Not my face first, my hands, my stance, the way my weight distributes on the wet concrete. Assessing. I try not to preen. Didn't come for the store, he says, voice like gravel that learned to talk polite. Just passing through. Motorcycles don't pass through. They linger. I nod at the engine. She okay? Better than me, most days. The corner of his mouth tries a smile and thinks better of it. Up close, those eyes are every shade fire learns while cooling. He tilts his head. You look like a man who hasn't slept in a week. I sleep, I lie. I just don't waste time on it. Ah. He glances at the humming store then back at me. So you're the one who breathes at night. My ribs forget their job for one beat. It's nothing. A coincidence. A trick of phrasing. But the way he says it, like he heard me through a wall, hooks behind my sternum and pulls. And you, I counter, look like the kind of man who hunts the ones who don't. The smile arrives, simple as a blade reflecting a street light. Only professionally. I prefer hobbies. I shove my hands in my hoodie pocket because otherwise they'll sketch my tails in the air for him. You new around here? Moved into the complex across the street. He gestures with his chin. Quiet place. Laundry rooms haunted. That would be the dryer that eats socks. My mouth runs when my pulse does. Rent's cheaper if you stop feeding it. A low, unpracticed laugh. It does something stupid to the night. He wipes his hand on the cloth again, holds it out. Val, he says. Short for, long story. I let the name fall through my head like a coin into a slot. Val. Hunt. My fingers stay exactly where they are. Ray, I say. Not short for anything. Just the light you see when your eyes adjust. His hand doesn't falter when it meets air. He eases it back into his jacket pocket like he meant to warm it all along. If he's offended, he wears it under 8 inches of patience. Nice to meet you, Ray, who doesn't waste time sleeping. Likewise, Val with the haunted laundry. Somewhere behind us, a cart rattles on a seam in the pavement. The moth wins once, slides down the plastic dome of the light, and tries again. He follows my gaze, then nods at the front doors. You work security, don't you? Is that a pickup line? It's a line, he says, level. You carry like you don't believe the building will protect you. That's usually a sign. You notice a lot for someone passing through. Occupational hazard. His eyes flick to the cameras in the soffit corners, then return to me as if he never looked away. If I were still stupid enough to believe in luck, I'd say I'm out of it. We stand there, 2 stubborn church candles refusing to die in a draft. The silence isn't empty, it's a bridge with the planks missing. I want to ask him what kind of professional he is. I want to ask what engine he's tuned his heartbeat to. I want to ask why Val Hunt thought it was clever to write its name in my house. Instead I say, your chain's a hair loose. Then I point, not touching. Because that's an old rule of mine. She'll bite if you gun it. Thanks. He crouches, checks, makes the smallest adjustment imaginable. He knows I'm watching his hands. He wants me to know that he knows. When he rises, he's closer. The air remembers something it forgot, that scent matters. Rain on leather. Coffee he didn't sweeten. The clean metal ghost of gun oil that thinks it's invisible. My body logs it all and pretends not to. I nod, retreat a step that isn't retreat, and tip my chin toward the doors. Enjoy your haunting, I say. Try not to feed the dryer anything you want back. I don't plan on losing anything, he says softly. Then almost an afterthought, see you around, Ray. Night's small, I say. You will. I go back in before I start inventing reasons to stay out. The doors inhale me. The fluorescent wash is sudden and judgmental. Inside the room, the monitors welcome me with their favorite expression. We were just about to do something unsupervised. I roll in, close the door, and let the latch click like a secret. The log stream hasn't stopped. If anything, it's neater now. The Val Hunt signature is fading like a gentleman bowing out of a dance before the music ends. He leaves one last footprint, deliberate, centered, elegant. A text overlay blooms across my central feed in a font I didn't install. Watch him if you can. A pulse of static. Then the message dissolves, and the cameras return to their lies. Nothing to see here, all is well, the city is sleeping. I lean back, let the chair old man creak, and press my knuckles under my jaw until my thoughts line up like obedient soldiers. This is where caution would whisper. This is where people with plans obey them. Instead, I grin into the glowing dark, and the dark grins back. Game on, I tell the empty room, and the room, bless it, doesn't argue. Orbit 12 pretends to be nicer than it is. The paint in the hallways is glossy to distract from hairline cracks, the motion lights are eager, then lazy, the elevator sighs like a much older building wearing a borrowed suit. The place always smells like rain, fried rice and laundry detergent that overpromises. My door clicks open to my version of tidy, minimal furniture, maximum wiring. 2 monitors on the desk, one on the wall, another tucked under the kitchen counter like a wink. Cables are arteries. The only soft thing is a throw blanket I never use. Across the corridor, the new neighbor's door. Val. The peephole on my side is a dark eye trying to remember what it's seen. I set down a takeout carton on my counter, boot up a diagnostic, and it greets me with the steady, patient scroll of logs. No Val Hunt tonight. At least not in my perimeter. My mouth says good, and the prickle at the base of my skull says, liar. The elevator dings down the hall. I can tell it's stopping on our floor by the specific groan it makes when it adjusts its hips to a heavier load. A moment later, footsteps. Measured, careful. My door chime tenses, a reflex mine alone. Ray. A voice knocks for me. Kiara, from 12 degrees Celsius, flower shop owner, unlicensed therapist by volume. I open before she can bruise the wood. She stands with a bouquet like a shield, and a smile sharp enough to trim stems. She always smells like wet leaves and sugar. Did you see him? She whispers, which still somehow echoes. See who? Our new neighbor. She leans in conspiratorial. He's like a cologne ad. Smells like danger and a hopeless mortgage. I pinch a grin back. He's unpacked at least one box then. One, she scoffs. Men like that don't unpack. They brood at furniture until it arranges itself. She eyes my living room. Speaking of minimalism as cry for help, you need something alive in here, a fern, a cactus, a small compliant tree. I have a basil plant. You have a basil project, she says, peeking in at my cables. Also, your wires are breeding. Don't kink shame my Ethernet. She laughs, delighted with herself. Then her gaze slides over my shoulder toward the hall, just as a suitcase wheel thunks. Val turns the corner with a carry-on and the kind of coffee mug you keep on purpose. Same leather jacket. Same quiet gravity. Kiara becomes a floral barricade between predator and prey. Only it isn't clear who is which. Welcome, she calls. I'm Kiara, 12C, flower shop by the train stop. I do deliveries, I accept tips, and I talk when I'm nervous, which is never. She thrusts a daisy like a business card. Val takes the daisy. Val, he says. 12B. Her eyes sparkle. Danger, and a hopeless mortgage, she mutters. Then bolts. I'll bring a succulent by later, Ray. It's for you, not him. Noted, I say. But she's already halfway down the hall, narrating her exit to herself. Val and I share the sort of glance people pretend not to share. He nods at my door. Settling in? I was already settled. Right. His smile is barely there. I meant me. You look like a man who travels with only what he can run with. He lifts the mug. Priorities. For a heartbeat, I want to ask what's inside. Coffee. Bitter. Unsweetened. He wears the smell the way some men wear rings. He points his chin at the elevator. Mine didn't eat me this time. Give it an hour, I say. It likes to lull you first. Haunted? Everything in this building is haunted, I tell him. Mostly by choices. His gaze flicks, not to my face, to my throat. The air slants. It's subtle, just a glance, but it lands with the accuracy of a measured shot. I know what he saw. A pale crescent at the bend of my neck, buried under collar and habit. Not a scar exactly. Not healed either. The residue of a mark that isn't there anymore. The kind of thing only someone who knows to look would notice at all. Heat crawls up my nape like a hand trying to be memory. He felt it. Alphas always feel it. You should change the elevator bulb on your floor, he says, like nothing just happened. It flickers. I like flicker, I say. It's honest. He nods at my door again. If you hear me at odd hours, it's me failing to sleep. I'm quiet. That makes two of us, I say, and the confession prints itself before I can redact it. Good night, Val. Night, Ray. He turns to his door, I shut mine. The latch clicks twice, mine and his out of sync and almost accord. I clean my fork. I stare at the basil project until it bluffs vigor. I tell my heart to walk, not run. The apartment settles around me with the gentle belligerence of an old pet. When I finally crash on the couch, sleep doesn't come. It performs near my eyes, shows me the choreography, and then leaves to smoke on the fire escape. I can hear through the wall, not voices, not music, just the map of his movement. A drawer. The hollow drift of water in pipes. A mug set down with discipline. The soft elastic sigh of the couch he refuses to admit is a bed. It's ridiculous, but the sound organizes the dark. Not company. Not contact. Just proof that the world is still making sounds that don't want anything from me. Around midnight the elevator groans again. Orbit 12 exhales a draft of damp stairwell air under my door. I get up, open my laptop, and run a passive net sweep for the building. A scatter of phones. A TV dreaming it's a lighthouse. A thermostat with abandonment issues. And then a whisper that isn't exactly a signal. More like a hesitation where a signal could be. Quiet, careful, angled away from me the way predators circle the wind. Private network names scroll by, Orbit Guest, Netgear. Sorry, Flower Queen Kiara, obviously. Nothing labeled Val Hunt. Of course not. That would be too easy. Still, a few ports on our floor change their posture like shoulders squaring. I press my tongue against my teeth until the itch subsides. At 2 a.m., there's a knock on my door that isn't a knock. A knuckle rasp to the wrong apartment, across the hall. I hear Val open. Male voices. One trying to sound casual, one that doesn't try. Detective, the first says, almost friendly. Got your message. About the job? Wrong time, Val replies. Voice lowered by the hallway's habit of gossip. But yes. Bounty's good if the catch is clean. Silence that tastes metallic. I don't do dirty, Val says. Shame, the other answers. City likes dirty. Footsteps recede. The elevator reconsiders. His door closes soft. Detective. He said it himself. Private, probably. Hunting a ghost with my shape. The neatness of it would be funny if it weren't busy lining up in my sights. I go to the bathroom. The mirror above the sink tries to tell me I look fine. The mirror lies for a living. I tilt my head and see what he saw. That thin echo under the skin, not quite healed, not quite gone. A mark that knows its own absence like a phantom limb. My hand hovers over it, doesn't touch. Old rule. Back in the living room, I kill the main light and turn on the small one I never admit I like. It throws a soft circle on the rug, and the cables relax enough to look like part of a plan. The building settles again, pipes ticking little lullabies for anyone less stubborn. Through the wall, a faucet. A spoon against porcelain. A measured breath. Strange. The word arrives like a visitor and sits on the arm of the couch, swinging its legs. For the first time in a long time, I don't feel alone. I listen without leaning. He doesn't sleep. I don't sleep. Somewhere between us, the night holds its breath and keeps everything else moving. The cameras don't lie, they just need the right motivation to forget. Mine are obedient tonight, all 28 of them blinking like trained eyes. I sit in the dim office, hands wrapped around a mug of something that used to be coffee, and feed the system a story it wants to believe. On screen, the timestamps bloom into perfect fiction. Footage loops, blurs, and then replays itself. Empty aisles, no movement. Meanwhile, in the real feed, I'm a ghost behind the counter. No reflection, no trace. I erase myself faster than a guilty conscience. The goal isn't to hide. It's to invite. The city outside bleeds color through the blinds. Pink, blue, amber. Rain presses against the windows like static, trying to listen in. I type in the bait, a breadcrumb trail buried inside a warehouse inventory server. Encrypted, but not too encrypted. Tempting, like a half-open door. The file name, Omega Protocol. Fragment 01. A gift for anyone curious enough to chase. I wait 2 hours, half asleep, watching code trickle through the logs. Then I see it. A signature handshake. Efficient. Military clean. He's there. Val Hunt. My ghost with amber eyes. Orbit 12 feels heavier the next day, like it knows I've done something stupid. I leave early, hoodie up, headphones in, pretending to be another sleepless silhouette. The streets shimmer with leftover rain. Puddles mirror neon signs, stretching them into liquid lies. At the corner cafe, the kind that survives on caffeine addicts and bad poetry, I pick a booth by the window. The Wi-Fi name reads, free.wifi but not .really. Fitting. I plug in, sip espresso that tastes like penance, and watch the packet streams flicker across my screen. My fake trail lights up like a runway. Someone's following it. Fast. Too fast. They're inside the decoy subnet before my heart can finish its next beat. Show off, I mutter. The laptop hums back in agreement. A shadow crosses my table. Boots first, clean, heavy. Then the scent, leather, rain, and gun oil, scrubbed but not forgotten. Electrical maintenance, says a voice I already know too well. You're from the store, right? I look up. Val stands there in a navy work jacket with the logo of some third-party tech company half torn off. The disguise is good, too good. He even wears a visitor badge. Must be a slow night, I say, leaning back. Did the cameras finally miss me? Something like that. His eyes flicker to my laptop screen. You're not supposed to run network diagnostics on public Wi-Fi. I shrug. And yet here I am, a rebel with a router. He almost smiles but doesn't. Instead, he gestures at the chair across from me. Mind if I sit? I'd say yes, but you don't strike me as the type who listens. He sits anyway. Of course he does. The chair complains, the air tightens. For a few minutes, the only sound is rain tapping the glass, and the clink of spoons and cups around us. Val watches me like I'm an equation that shouldn't balance. I keep typing, pretending not to care that his reflection follows every keystroke. So, he says, you work security, but you write code like a criminal. Flattering, I say. But I prefer the term efficient. He tilts his head. You hiding something? Aren't we all? His gaze drifts to the small scar under my sleeve. Old burn, healed wrong. He doesn't comment, but I see the question form and die behind his teeth. Good. Questions mean interest. Interest means advantage. I close the laptop with a soft click. You're not here for maintenance. What's your actual job, Val? He leans forward, elbows on the table, that calm predator patience again. I could ask you the same thing, Ray. You could, I say. But I'd lie. That earns a real smile. Quick, sharp, and gone. When he stands, I see the edge of a small metallic device clipped under his jacket, barely visible. Audio bug. Maybe visual. I file it away, watching him drop a few coins on the table. Stay out of trouble, he says, voice smooth. Wouldn't want to have to report you. To who? He pauses at the door. You'd be surprised. Back at the store, the night hums different. The hum has his rhythm in it. I walk the aisles once, hands in my pockets, eyes scanning the corners. The cameras are steady, obedient again. Too obedient. Something small glints under my desk in the control room, a faint LED heartbeat. I kneel, flick it once with a finger. A listening bug, black and slick as an insect. Well played. I sit back in my chair, pick up my half-dead coffee, and toast the air. If you're going to spy on me, detective, I say, loud enough for the bug to catch, you could at least admit you're curious. Silence. Then, a faint crackle in the headset jack, so soft I almost miss it. Breathing. Still there? I tease. Didn't think so. I spin the bug once on my fingertip like a coin, set it back under the desk exactly where it was, and tap the microphone with 2 slow beats, just to make sure he's listening. Then I lean close and whisper. If you really want to know whether I sleep, Val, just ask. Later that night, I sit by the window in my apartment. The rain has stopped, but the world's still dripping. From across the hall, faint light seeps under Val's door, a rectangle of soft amber. He's awake too. The city hums between us, alive and watchful. Inside my laptop a single unread message waits. Val Hunt, clever move. Your decoy code was cute. Try harder next time. I grin. He took the bait. And left his scent all over the trap. For the first time in years, my pulse keeps rhythm with someone else's. It's infuriating. It's addictive. I close the laptop, stretch, and let the city fade into a dull heartbeat. Outside, the streets shine like liquid metal, reflecting all the colors we pretend not to feel. Somewhere out there, a predator is smiling. And for reasons I don't plan to name, I'm smiling too. Helios looks like every other night bar in the city. Dim enough to hide your regrets, bright enough to keep you from sleeping through them. The neon sign outside flickers between hell and Leos, like the place can't decide whether it's heaven or hell. Inside, the air is thick with beer foam, cheap cologne, and the electric hum of exhaustion. Security guards, taxi drivers, insomniacs, all the species of the sleepless gather here. I slide onto a stool at the far end, where the lights don't try too hard. The bartender doesn't bother asking what I want. One look at my face and he pours the usual black coffee with a dash of something that burns. It's the only kind of mercy Helios serves. The TV over the counter stutters through a news broadcast. Former Index Corporation employee found dead in his apartment late last night. Police suspect suicide, but... The screen crackles, a static heartbeat, then cuts to a car commercial. I don't need the rest. Index Corporation. Another one. That's 3 people this month who worked with them. The ones who dissected my old pack, who branded us as data points, who called it science instead of slaughter. I wrap my hands around the cup. The ceramic is hot enough to sting, which is good. It keeps me from thinking too long. Someone's cleaning up loose ends. And I'm the last loose end left. The bartender moves down the counter. In the mirror behind the bottles, I catch the door opening. Leather jacket. Broad shoulders. A familiar stillness that makes the room rearrange itself around him. Val. He looks out of place among the night shift regulars. Too composed, too quiet. He orders something dark, straight. Doesn't flinch when it hits the counter. His reflection meets mine in the mirror. Amber eyes. A spark of recognition. The faintest tilt of a smirk. So, he found me first. Or maybe I let him. I take my cup, walk over, and drop onto the stool beside him. You always drink things that taste like burnt regret? Only when it's on the menu, he says, not looking at me yet. You could add sugar, I offer, casual. It might fool your taste buds into thinking you're human. He finally turns, amusement tucked at the corner of his mouth. You strike me as someone who doesn't believe in sweet things. I believe in them, I say. I just don't trust them. He raises his glass. Then we're the same. No, I reply, leaning in a fraction closer. You drink bitter by choice, that's different. Means you've decided you don't deserve soft edges. Or maybe, he says, meeting my gaze. Sweet reminds me too much of peace. Peace, I echo. Can't imagine that tastes good to you. That earns me a small, rough laugh, the kind that sounds like it hasn't been used in years. We sit in silence for a while, pretending the TV isn't screaming headlines about corpses and cover-ups. The bar hums with its own rhythm, conversations clinking against glass, rain drumming faintly on the roof. He glances at me again. You've got strange eyes, Ray. Strange how? Like you see everything twice. Once for what it is, and once for what it could do to you. I sip my coffee. That's called survival. He nods. Slow, deliberate. Still. They look animal, wild. I smirk. You should talk. You've got that thing predators do, the patience to stare into the dark and wait for it to blink first. His grin is quick, sharp. Maybe I just like the dark. Sure you do. It hides all the rules you don't follow. The bartender passes by and drops off another cup before either of us asks. He knows a scene when he sees one. It's almost closing time when I check the door again. The rain outside has thickened, turning the world to moving glass. Helios hums in the neon haze. The news cycles back to politics, then silence. Val finishes his drink. You live close? Close enough to hear your door when you forget to lock it, I say. You should work on that. He chuckles. You always this friendly with your neighbors? Only the ones who snoop. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small black umbrella, flicking it open with the casual precision of a man who's never rushed in his life. Come on. I'll walk you. I can manage a little rain. It's pouring. I like pouring. He sighs. You're impossible. And you're predictable. Still, I follow him to the door, because some habits die slower than others. The rain greets us like applause, cold, relentless, honest. The kind that soaks you just enough to feel alive. He holds the umbrella out, just far enough that I'd have to step closer to share it. I hesitate, not because of the rain, but because of how his hand looks. Holding that fragile little thing, like a wolf offering a flower. He raises a brow. You planning to stand there all night? I was enjoying the view. You'll drown. Then you'll have to file the report, I say, and finally step in. We walk side by side, our shoulders almost brushing. The world outside the umbrella is chaos, a blur of headlights and water. Underneath it, everything is unbearably still. His coat smells like rain and steel. I wonder if mine smells like fear, or caffeine. For a heartbeat, the umbrella tilts and our hands nearly touch on the handle. Static hums between us, sharp, fleeting, stupidly human. He clears his throat. You always this reckless? Depends who's asking. Someone who likes answers. Then no. We stop at the crosswalk. The red light glows like a pulse. He glances down the street, then at me. You disappeared last night. Did I? I checked your building feed. That's a violation of privacy, detective. He smirks. So sue me. The light changes. I step forward, water splashing around my shoes. Don't chase what doesn't want to be caught, Val. He frowns, halfway between amusement and frustration. Is that a warning? A promise, I say, and slip away into the rain. By the time he turns, the street's empty except for puddles reflecting the neon sign. Hell, then Leos, then hell again. Maybe that's the city's sense of humor. Or maybe it's just reminding us what we are. Behind him, the umbrella trembles in the wind. Ahead of me, the night opens wide, and for the first time, I'm not sure who's following whom anymore. The city never sleeps, only blinks. And in that single blink, things disappear. Val's apartment looks like a crime scene lit for a confession. Blue from the monitors, white from the cold, amber from the whiskey. He stands in the center of it, coat still on, jaw locked, eyes scanning the dossier projected across the holographic wall. Target, Ray Winter. Alias, unknown. Occupation, security technician. Suspected data thief. Status, terminate upon confirmation. Notes, surviving member of the Gray Instinct experiment. The words don't sound real, not next to the memory of my laugh, or the rain still in his hair from earlier. But the seal on the bottom of the file is real enough. The government's private military division. His old employers. The ones who promised him purpose after they broke him. He scrolls further. Images flicker. Surveillance stills of me at the cafe, in the store, outside Helios. His own recordings. His own bug. His stomach turns. God damn it. The glass hits the table too hard. Whiskey splashes his wrist. They'd known I was here long before he did. And they'd used him to find me. The system chimes politely. Mission window active. Confirm execution order. Val doesn't click it. Not yet. He just stares at the line beneath my name. Subject Winter exhibited extreme resistance to imprint control. My apartment hums quietly at night, the machines breathing with me. I should be asleep, but the walls are too thin, and my thoughts too loud. The rain's gone, but the air still smells like it. Wet metal, static, leftover fear. The door buzzes once. A heartbeat later, someone knocks. Persistent bastard, I mutter, standing. When I open the door, Val's there. No jacket, no calm, no smile. Just fire and restraint stitched together. He pushes past me before I can speak, his boots tracking the rain across my floor. Nice to see you too, I say. Do you ever knock for real or just... Shut up, he snaps, low and rough. You're going to tell me the truth. I fold my arms. You're going to have to be more specific. I lie a lot. He holds up the holographic slate, its light washing across my face. My own name glows there like a wound. Ray Winter, he reads. Survivor of Gray Instinct. Classified as hostile. Termination authorized. There it is. The bullet disguised as a sentence. I lean back against the counter, exhale slowly. Guess congratulations are in order. You found your target. Don't start, he says. His voice cracks. Just a fracture, but enough. What the hell did you do, Ray? What they said I did? I ask. Or, what actually happened? His jaw tightens. Did you kill them? Your pack? The word pack hits harder than he intends. It's been years since anyone said it out loud. For a moment the silence between us feels like open ground between two cliffs. No, I say finally. I tried to save them. The system killed them. He steps closer. The files say you destroyed the database. I did. I meet his eyes. Because that's where they stored our chains. He doesn't understand. Not yet. So I unbutton my collar, just enough to reveal the scar. A dark crescent. Branded at the base of my neck, an old burn in the shape of a code. It glows faintly under the apartment's low light, reacting to the pulse beneath my skin. They called it marking, I say quietly. Said it would keep us obedient. Turns out it just kept us dying. Val stares at it, at me, as if the world's just shifted a degree off-center. That's... He starts. But the words fail. I can see him recalibrating everything he thought he knew. They used us like prototypes, I continue. Then purged the data when it didn't fit the narrative. I wiped what was left so they couldn't start again. So, the explosions, he says slowly. The erased networks. Mine, I confirm. And worth it. For the first time, he doesn't look like the hunter. He looks like someone who's realized he's been stalking the wrong side of the story. You could have told me, he says. And what? You'd have turned yourself into a traitor sooner? He flinches. The rainwater still clings to his hair, glinting under the light like silver threads. He looks tired, worse, betrayed. They used you, I say softly. The same way they used us. He doesn't deny it. He just paces once, twice, then stops at the window. The city glows outside, unforgiving and infinite. I should turn you in, he mutters. That's what they expect. Yeah, I say. You should. He looks over his shoulder. You're not even going to argue? Would it matter? Silence. Only the hum of the neon from across the street, painting the room in pulse light. Then quietly he says, "You think they'll stop if I don't?" I shake my head. "No. They'll find another version of me, that's the point." He turns fully now, crossing the distance between us in 2 strides. His hand hovers near the mark, fingers trembling like he's about to touch fire. "Does it still hurt?" he asks. "Only when I remember." The air between us burns colder. For a long time, neither of us speaks. He studies me like he's cataloging a new species. I let him. Because for once, there's nothing left to hide. When he finally speaks, his voice has lost its edge. "You're not what they said you were." "Disappointed?" He huffs a laugh, the first honest one in hours. Mostly confused. I shrug. "Welcome to my life." His gaze drops to the mark again. "They said you were uncontrollable. Dangerous." "They were right about one thing," I say. "I stopped being controllable." He steps closer, close enough that the static between us hums. His breath smells like whiskey and sleeplessness. For once, he looks unsure, not of me, but of himself. "Tell me something," he says. "If you could go back, fix it, would you?" I think about the nights after the fire, the faces I can't remember without counting scars. The sound of screaming turned to silence when the systems shut down. "I'd burn it sooner," I say. "Before they ever touched us." That earns another pause. Then something shifts in his expression, pity, maybe, or understanding. It's hard to tell the difference when both hurt. Finally, he exhales. "You've got a hell of a way of being right when I wish you weren't." Part of the charm. He almost smiles. It's weak, but real. The kind that says I see you now, even if I don't know what to do with that. I try to break the tension the only way I know how. "So," I say lightly, "what now, detective? Did you catch your criminal?" He shakes his head. Slow, deliberate. "Doesn't feel like it," he says. "Feels more like I walked into my own trap." Then I guess that makes us even. For the first time, he doesn't argue. He just stands there, shoulders unclenched, eyes steady. Outside, thunder rolls like a tired applause. Inside, the distance between hunter and hunted finally collapses, quietly, without permission, the way storms do when they've both run out of places to go. The rain starts before the warning does. Hard, fast, almost personal. It slams against the metal ribs of the underground parking lot, turning every puddle into a mirror, every shadow into a reflection of something that wants to live. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be gone by now. Vanished into the static, another ghost in the city's machine. But Val told me to meet him here. So, I wait. The low hum of generators fills the space, the scent of oil and ozone hanging thick. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead, painting everything in pale strobe. My pulse tries to keep time with it. It fails. Then the elevator doors open. He steps out, wet hair, jaw locked, leather jacket darker from the rain. The look he gives me isn't Hunter anymore. It's something between warning and regret. "Ray," he says, low. "They're coming." "Who's they?" He doesn't answer. Instead, his wrist device buzzes. The light from it cuts across his face, cold blue. He reads the message silently, then says it out loud, like an oath he doesn't believe. "Turn over the subject." "Alive?" The words hang between us. "Subject." I laugh once, bitter. "That's me, right? Congratulations. You finally got your promotion?" His jaw flexes. "I'm not doing it." "Then, you're already dead," I say. "Welcome to my side." The roar of engines interrupts us. Tires screech against wet concrete. 3 black SUVs slide into the lot, headlights slashing through the rain. The smell of gun oil and adrenaline hits before the first door opens. Agents, 5, maybe 6, same insignia on their sleeves. The structure. Clean, precise, obedient. Val grabs my arm. "Move." We sprint toward the far end, boots splashing through shallow water. Bullets crack behind us, short, controlled bursts. I feel the shockwave of one hit the pillar beside me, bits of concrete stinging my cheek. "Great plan," I shout. "Didn't think you'd take me out on a date with an execution squad." "Keep running," he growls. I almost laugh. Almost. He veers left, leading me toward the maintenance exit. The heavy steel door looms ahead, padlocked, but Val doesn't slow. He draws his sidearm and fires once, point blank. The lock explodes into pieces. "After you," he says. "You first." I counter. Fine. Don't make me drag you. We push through. The air outside is colder, wetter, alive with sirens somewhere above ground. The city sounds like it's screaming in the distance. But maybe that's just my heartbeat. Behind us, the door bursts open again. One of the agents steps through the smoke, visor down, rifle up. Val spins, fires twice. The man collapses. Another takes his place. Go. Val barks. I move. The concrete ramp spirals upward like a bad dream, slippery underfoot. Water streams down it, carrying cigarette butts and old leaves. We reach the second level when the power dies. Lights out, everything plunging into emergency red. The silence lasts half a heartbeat before the shooting starts again. Val! I shout over the echo. You were supposed to arrest me, remember? Yeah. He calls back, reloading. I don't like orders. That's a bad trait for an alpha. He glances at me, smirking despite the chaos. Good one for a human. Then he kicks a fallen motorcycle upright, throws a leg over it, and tosses me a helmet. Get on. You're insane. Later. Hold on. I hesitate for exactly one breath. The next one tastes like cordite and inevitability. I climb on behind him. The bike screams to life, low, guttural, alive. We tear through the ramp, tires slicing through water, sparks flying when the tailpipe scrapes the curb. The agent's headlights chase us, flickering through the rain like hungry eyes. Bullets ping off the walls, ricocheting into echoes. Val ducks low, I cling tighter, pressing against the solid line of his back. Every vibration of the engine runs through us both. Left. I yell. Trust me, he shouts back, and cuts right instead, straight into a closing security gate. He fires twice, the hydraulics burst, the gate jerks upward just enough for us to slide under. We're out. The night hits us like a flood. Rain, sirens, wind that tastes like metal. Neon reflections blur together on the wet asphalt as we rocket through the service tunnel and out into the street. Behind us, the structure's cars skid out of the exit, tires spinning in the water. One almost catches up, until Val throws a glance over his shoulder, pulls the bike into a sharp drift, and the pursuing car smashes into a lamppost. Remind me to never question your driving, I shout. Noted, he says, voice tight, but I can hear the grin under it. We ride until the city opens up, the streets thinning into industrial sprawl. The rain keeps falling, softening everything it touches except the two of us. When Val finally slows, the world around us feels hollow. The sirens fade into a distant hum, steam rises from the asphalt. The only sound left is the engine ticking as it cools. He kills the ignition. For a moment the silence is enormous. You okay? He asks without turning. Define okay, I say. Still breathing. Still wanted. He exhales, leaning forward on the handlebars. We don't have much time. They'll trace us. Then we keep moving. He looks over his shoulder, rain dripping from his lashes, eyes darker than I've ever seen them. You sure you trust me? I didn't say that, I answer. But you're the one with the keys. A short laugh escapes him, hoarse, real. He hands me the helmet again. Then hold on. I already am. We pull out again, slower this time. The city glows faint behind us, a nervous heart still beating somewhere far away. The rain softens to mist. My arms stay around him, not because I have to, but because I want to feel that he's real. The warmth under the soaked leather, the rhythm of his breathing. The steadiness that shouldn't exist in someone who just betrayed an entire command structure for me. The thought should terrify me. It doesn't. It feels like exhaling after years of holding my breath. The road stretches ahead, black, endless, mercifully empty. Val's voice breaks through the wind, quieter now. You're laughing. Am I? Yeah. Why? I rest my forehead against his back. Because you should have arrested me. Too late for that. Guess so. We hit an open stretch of road. The rain catches the light from the city behind us, turning into a trail of molten silver in the mirrors. For the first time in a long time, I'm not looking back. The city can keep its ghosts. I've got my own. The engine's hum evens out, hypnotic, steady. My eyes stay open, but somewhere between one breath and the next, they start to close. Not from exhaustion but from something quieter. Something dangerously close to peace. I don't sleep. I never sleep. But pressed against Val's back, the rain washing the world clean behind us, I almost remember how. The cabin sits where the map stops lying, a sagging skeleton of wood and rust, half swallowed by fog. The forest presses close, quiet except for the soft hiss of rain dripping off pine needles. Inside, a kettle breathes on the stove, and the air smells like wet earth, burnt wood, and something faintly animal, the kind of scent that makes you remember what you used to be before you pretended to be human. Val got the bike under the old awning. I got the fire going. Neither of us said much. The silence was the only thing still working properly. He sits opposite me now, on a crate, sleeves rolled up, the firelight sketching amber into his eyes. His shirt clings to him, still damp, collar unbuttoned. Everything about him is controlled, the way he moves, the way he doesn't move, except for his breathing. Even that sounds like it's trying to stay disciplined. I poke the fire with a stick. Sparks jump like startled birds. He watches, but doesn't interrupt. Used to be more of us, I say finally. The words taste like smoke. This place was our den. We called it the Greyhold. Back before the experiments, before the collars, before we thought we could survive being owned. He doesn't answer. Just waits. It's annoying how good he is at waiting. I look at the flames instead of him. They said the mark would keep us calm, that it would synchronize the pack's instincts with government protocols. No more wildness, no more violence. They said we'd be civilized. I laugh. A dry, empty sound. Turns out civilization's a great excuse for obedience. The kettle whistles once, soft and tired. Val pours the coffee. No milk, no sugar of course. He hands me the cup, sits back down and says, "And when it went wrong?" I stare into the black surface of the coffee. They triggered the control code remotely. One by one, my pack dropped. Heart failure, seizures, strokes, clean, quiet, efficient. My throat locks around the memory. They didn't even get to die together. He sets his cup down slowly. The wood creaks under the shift of his weight. "How did you live?" "I didn't," I say. "Not for a while." The fire pops, throwing sparks into the dark. I can almost hear their laughter in it. Brief, bright, gone. I rub a hand over my face. After that, sleep just stopped. I can close my eyes, but my head doesn't listen. Every time I try, I see them, hear them, and if I fall asleep, I swallow. It feels like I'm betraying them a second time. For a while, only the rain answers. Then Val moves. No warning, no questions. Just quiet steps around the fire until he's beside me. He crouches, close enough for the heat of the flames and the smell of smoke to blur together with him. His hand lifts, slow, deliberate, and rests at the base of my neck, right over the mark that never healed. The touch is light, careful, but it burns through every layer of pretense I've built. "You're alive," he says. His voice isn't soft, it's steady, solid, something you can lean on without it giving way. That means the system didn't win. The fire crackles like applause for something fragile. I don't look at him. If I do, I'll break the spell of stillness that's finally keeping me together. "Maybe," I whisper, "or maybe it just forgot to finish the job." He shakes his head. "No. It underestimated you. That's not the same thing." The silence that follows isn't heavy this time. It's full of things we don't have to say. The air hums with rain against the roof, the faint click of cooling metal, the steady rhythm of his breathing. It feels like being on the edge of something that could hurt, or heal. Maybe both. He doesn't move his hand, and I don't ask him to. The warmth of it seeps into my skin, through scar tissue, through the cold I've been living with for years. The mark doesn't pulse. It just rests, like it finally believes me. Then, because I'm me, I ruin it with words. "You always turn into a philosopher after 3 nights without sleep?" He huffs, low, almost a laugh. "No. Only with people worth the caffeine, the damage, and the risk." I turn my head slightly, just enough to meet his eyes. "You're insufferable." "You're smiling." "I'm not." "You are." "Shut up." The fire answers for both of us, flickering high enough to catch the reflection in his eyes. The fog outside presses closer to the windows, but inside the world has narrowed to warmth, breath, and the soft hum of something that feels dangerously like peace. The night stretches, elastic and strange. He leans back against the wall beside me, arms still draped across the back of the bench. The rain eases into a whisper. The kettle sighs itself empty. I should be cataloging escape routes, recalculating survival odds. Instead, I listen to his heartbeat, steady as a metronome under the noise of the storm. For the first time, my muscles don't ache from being alert. For the first time, the shadows don't look like threats. I tilt my head, resting it lightly against his shoulder. He stiffens for half a second, then exhales, and stays still. His warmth bleeds through my damp clothes, grounding me. It's not comfort. It's not surrender. It's just silence that doesn't hurt. Still think you can't sleep? He murmurs, voice a low vibration against my hair. Pretty sure, I mumble. But my eyelids are already heavier than they've been in years. He makes a sound that might be a chuckle. Good. That means you're halfway there. Halfway to what? To proving you're human after all. Bad news, I mutter, eyes sliding shut. Pretty sure that ship sank. Then we'll swim, he says quietly. The last thing I feel is the rumble of his voice, the smell of smoke and rain on his skin, and the steady patient rhythm of someone who doesn't need to fix me to stay. For the first time since the gray hole burned, I drift. Not into sleep exactly, but into something close enough to count. The world smells like rain and new beginnings. For the first time in years, I wake up without the taste of panic in my mouth. Light seeps through the cracked blinds of the cabin, slicing the shadows into soft stripes. The fire's gone cold, but the air's still warm. It carries the faint scent of coffee and something sweetly mundane like soap and wood. I blink a few times, trying to remember where I am. Then I hear the quiet clink of a spoon against a mug, and it comes back. The cabin. The fog. Val. I push myself up from the bench, the blanket sliding off my shoulders. Every muscle protests, but not from tension, just from the unfamiliar act of resting. The silence feels heavy in a good way. Full instead of empty. At the table, Val's standing with his back to me, pouring steaming coffee into 2 chipped mugs. His shirt's half-buttoned, collar damp, sleeves rolled up. He looks out of place here, a soldier dropped into a postcard, and somehow, that's what makes the scene make sense. He glances over his shoulder, smirk already loaded. Congratulations. 5 hours of sleep without medication. I think that's a world record. I rub my eyes. It's overrated. Sleep or world records? Both. He slides a mug across the table. Careful, it's hot. I take it anyway. The first sip burns. Good. Grounding. The kind of pain that reminds you you're still in one piece. Sun came up, he says after a pause, as if testing the idea. Didn't think it would look like this. Like what? Like something we still get to have. He's quiet for a beat, then adds, they'll come for us. You know that? I nod. They always do. You regret it? His tone is unreadable, not accusation, not fear, just curiosity, the kind that weighs more than it sounds. I shake my head. No, I've been running for years. Guess it's time to stop. He leans back against the counter, crossing his arms. So what now? I let out a slow breath. We broke every rule they gave us. Then, he says, eyes glinting in the light, we can write our own. I laugh softly. You sound optimistic for a man wanted by half the city. I've been worse things. He shrugs, half grinning. Besides, I think I've finally found a decent partner in crime. I raise an eyebrow. Decent? Fine, he concedes. Infuriatingly brilliant. That's better. He takes his cup and sits across from me. For a while, neither of us talks. The world outside hums. Distant birds, dripping water, the small, uncertain sound of peace trying to rebuild itself. He looks tired but lighter. The edges of him have softened, or maybe I'm just seeing him differently now. A man who chose not to pull the trigger. A man who stayed. I stare into my coffee, watching the steam rise and curl like smoke from an extinguished fire. You know, I say, for the first time, I don't feel like I have to stay awake to survive. Val tilts his head. That's because you don't. The words hang there, simple, unpolished, terrifyingly sincere. I don't answer. I just breathe, and it feels like enough. He finishes his coffee, sets the mug down with a quiet clink. We'll need supplies, and fuel, and probably new names. Any ideas? Something normal. He pauses. Boring, even. I grin. You'd never survive boring. He smirks. Maybe not. But I'd survive with you. The moment sits between us, unspoken, clean as sunlight on wet glass. Outside, the mist is lifting. The trees stretch, dripping gold. The bike waits under the awning, patient as a promise. The road beyond is empty, a thin, shining scar leading into nowhere good but somewhere new. Val stands, grabbing his jacket. You coming? In a minute. He nods once, steps outside into the light. His silhouette cuts sharp against the morning, solid and real. The door stays open behind him. I look around the cabin one last time, the cold fire pit, the empty cups, the faint warmth still caught in the air. My chest aches, but not the kind that hurts, the kind that finally makes room. I whisper it to no one, maybe to the ghosts still watching. Insomnia isn't a curse. It was just waiting for someone who'd stay until I finally fell asleep. I set the mug down, stretch, and follow him into the sun.